Hello there, I'm Steve Costello with my colleague Leo Farberg over
Hi
there.
there.
We're both psychologists and coaches and counselors. Whoa, that's confusing. That's three roles. So, what I'm going to start with today is a very quick set of definitions. And the reason I'm doing this is because quite often people say to me, I need therapy. But when I meet them and ask a few questions and find out what's going on in their world, actually, it's not therapy that they need. Maybe they need to start with a little bit of counseling, and then that can shift into coaching, for example. Sometimes people are a little bit confused. So let's kind of throw away the myths and work out what therapy is, first of all. Sometimes known as psychotherapy. And the focus is on healing and mental health. So the goal is to work through psychological issues like past trauma, mental illness, emotional struggles, and there are other things. And the approach uses evidence-based methods. So it could be, for example, cognitive behavioral therapy. It could be EMDR. And there are a ton of other therapies that we can use as well. So we don't have time to go into all of those right now. Therapy often looks backwards and inward. So think about it. We're looking at what's happened in the past and we're looking inside to find out what that stuff did inside of us. So that's therapy. Dead short and sweet. Okay, we could talk all day about this, but we're
Oh,
not going to do
yes.
it.
We're not gonna do it.
So, what about counseling? Counseling and therapy are often incredibly confused. Many people often say to me, well, surely aren't counseling and therapy one and the same? No, they're not one and the same. They're
No,
quite different.
not exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So the focus of counseling is on support and guidance through specific life challenges. So the goal is about providing coping tools, problem solving, and emotional support. The approach is more short term than therapy, maybe, and it's often more practical than therapy. So we may be sharing tools and talking about how to use tools to enable you to move forward, for example. And as I said, it's often focused on a very current issue. So, what's an example of that? A person who's grieving the loss of a loved one. Let's keep it simple. Many people know what I'm talking about when I talk about that. So, the person who's grieving the loss of a loved one would seek counseling to manage emotions and look for healthy ways to adjust and move forward. So we're not going back into the past. We're working with what's here, what's right now, what's happening. And then we move on to coaching, and coaching is different again. Not all coaches are psychologists.
Yeah.
Anybody who comes to me or Leo for coaching gets lucky in a way because we're also therapists and we're also counselors. So in a way, they get a bonus, a big bonus. Coaching focuses on growth. It focuses on performance and it focuses on future goals. So sometimes I've worked with people who've needed counseling. We've worked on the counseling they've needed, but they also need some coaching about growth, performance, and the future goals. So we move into the coaching field. The goal is to clarify people's ambitions. It's amazing how many high flying professionals have got ambitions, but wow, they're so mixed up and flying around up there that it's hard for them to manage. Another goal is about improving performance and achieving outcomes. But just think about those things. So it's always about looking forward. It's always about action, taking some form of action. And it's focused on accountability and motivation. Often in my sessions, the client is accountable to me, but at some point, I need to let them go. So I always make sure they've got somebody else who can hold them accountable for for what they're doing, how they're moving forward or not. So, for example, a professional might hire a coach to enable them to build their leadership skills, or to prepare for a promotion, or to prepare to get a new job. So there's a lot of things that we can work on in coaching. It's not limited to the things I just mentioned, but I'll be here all day if I give you too many examples.
Yeah.
So a dead simple summary. Therapy is about healing the past. Counselling is about coping with the present, with the now. And coaching is about building the future. So it's past, present, and future. So what do you think, Leo? Do you want to add something, or shall we move on?
Yes, I agree with the definition because it's still a big difference, quite a big difference between therapist, psychologist, and the coach, and what they do or what we do. But still, and these things cannot be these terms cannot be used interchangeably. These processes are kind of different. But the thing is that when working with the person is a ever living thing, it's something that somebody who has a past, who has a situation in the present moment, because usually people come because of something in the present moment. They suffer from whatever happens, or the symptoms build up, the challenges build up, because usually people do not come to any of these specialists unless they have a challenge, unless they suffer. For example, for not being promoting, it's also suffering. And if it's about lack of skills, because coaching is seeing what's missing, evaluating what's missing, then kind of building a strategy and seeing what tools the person lacks and needs to work on and implement, and then make the progress and help on the way.
Yeah,
It's like training for the Olympics.
yeah.
Sometimes you have
Kind
to
of is.
start from putting on your Snickers.
Yeah. So let's move forward a little bit. So last time we talked about kind of tongue in cheek how therapists quietly roll their eyes at certain things
Oh
that
yes, oh yeah,
clients
oh
bring
yes, we
in.
do.
And we won't be mean to our clients by talking about this.
No.
So let's go back to that a little bit. I've got a question. As therapists, counselors, or even coaches, do we need every single minute detail to help our clients?
Oh, of course not.
What's the story behind it then? So why not?
For a reason, and there are reasons. People think that therapy is when you come to a therapist and start telling your life story. And there is a reason, because people are still mixed up about what therapy is, and they know about psychoanalysis, and they see all of these movies where mostly psychoanalytics are being mocked, like someone laying on the couch and talking and talking and talking. And in a way, it's it was the original way where a formal psychotherapy emerged. As it's the origins where it started, and it was not about just telling. By the way, it was not just telling your stories. It was about giving the associations that come, like when we start talking about the mother, whatever comes up. And so and therapy has changed a lot, tremendously, since that time, and it will be changing a lot with the current, you know digital and informational things, and but people still have this stereotype in mind. And another thing is that, and so when they come to a therapist, they start talking. And another thing is, to tell the truth, people usually lack environment where they can be heard. It's
Yeah,
another thing. And so they tell everything, like what kind of what shitty coffee they bought this morning. But I don't really care. Let's be honest. I don't care how shitty a coffee was. All I care as a therapist is what you felt. Were you triggered emotionally? Did it bring up some old memories when you felt as shitty as you felt after having this shitty coffee? I don't care whether your morning coffee was shitty. I don't. I care about the how to find this connection within your emotional well-being and where it can go and how I can help you, not about the coffee, but about bigger things. Because coffee is something, well, if you cannot cope with your emotions about your coffee, you need the therapy, that's for
But that's
sure.
the point on it. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Some brilliant points there. And one of the things that comes across quite often, and it relates to what you've just been talking about, Leo, is this idea of I go to a therapist and then we take some giant leaps. It's almost like, one small step for man. What is it? One small step for man, a giant leap for mankind. The guy who landed on the moon years ago, if he
Yeah.
did, if you believe the conspiracy theories. Um, we can't, in therapy or counseling or coaching, take giant leaps. It simply won't work. But yet there is a little bit of a problem out there because very often in society, and by in society I mean at work and all kinds of places that we put ourselves into, we're expected to take quite big leaps. But yet therapy can't cope with that because if we did take giant leaps, what would happen? We wouldn't address the challenges properly. The people we're working with wouldn't be able to move forward because it'd be skipping parts. It's almost like doing a number puzzle, where you follow the dots from 1 to 100 and you do 1 to 5 and then you skip and start again at 10 and go to 15 and then skip and go to 25. There's going to be gaps all through the puzzle. And that's what's going to happen if we try to take giant leaps. That is, for me, is an eye roller because a lot of people come and they expect me to take them from A to Z, wherever Z happens to be, in a minute, quickly, because I need it now.
Yeah, but
Somebody actually said that to me one time. I need it now. And now wasn't at all possible.
and that's another assumption about psychology in general and therapy as a special way of, you know, working with psyche. People are so concentrated of information. They think, oh, there's something I don't know. And if I go to a therapist, I can get this information and I'll be fine. And right now, people are talking, why do I need to go to a therapist if I have whatever AI or Google or books? Already, books are already outdated. That's a joke. And so if I read something about, let's say, my symptoms or condition situations, then I'll know and I'll be better. But the truth is that what therapy uh, is working with is it's creating new neural pathways, networks in your brain physically. It has to grow. Something that was lacking because of your challenges throughout life, or maybe specific characteristics of your nervous system. That's why when we talk about neurodiversity, in a way, we're all kind of neurodiverse because we are individual set of uh, neural connections. And that's why Steve's project is called Garden, because it's about growing and it's about finding this little sprout that was kind of maybe stuck on the ground, covered with something, and was not noticed and wasn't tended to. And so therapy is something helping to find what's lacking and finding this little pale sprout. Do you know when in the garden you like
Mm.
so there is a like a board on the ground you pick you kind of pick it up and you see all these little or maybe tiny or maybe they may be long sprouts, but they're pale and the leaves are small and but when you expose them to the sun and or if they're weeds, you'll take them out, but which is therapy also about. There are weeds in our mind as well, lots of them. And when you start tending to those sprouts you need really, uh, and this is what therapy is about. It's the sprouts we don't see, but they're there. And they start with ideas, they start with evoking emotions, or maybe like and working with emotions, letting them pay more attention. Like our attention is the sun, and the tools are what we do, like with the soil. You
Yeah,
know.
absolutely. Good point. Brilliant. I love that. And they relate to my branding as well, which is also
Yes.
very cool. So I think we're going to have to stop there because otherwise we will
Yeah.
confuse and we'll go on for too long. However, we need to talk about something else next time.
Yes.
So really, although we've not said it directly, what we've been talking about today are individuals, people who come to us seeking therapy, counselling, coaching, whatever it happens to be. But quite often, Leo and I get a parent coming to us, and what they want is for us to fix their child, adolescent, usually, son or daughter, doesn't matter, but that's what they want. The parents want the fix.
Oh
So
yes, I've
we
had
meet,
that.
yeah, so we meet the children, they don't want the fix, they're not interested. So that's a challenge in itself. But there's all sorts of issues come up because of the idea of parents wanting the fix. I get it, parents. I'm a parent too. Leo's a parent. Yeah, of course, we don't want our children to be suffering. And we may want to go out there and find something to help. But the way it's done is not always the best way. So let's talk about that next time.
Yeah, well, there's a lot
There's
to
a
say
lot.
about that.
Yeah. Okay. If you've got any questions, any comments, anything that you would like us to talk about, not a problem. Drop a message, leave a comment, do whatever you've got to do to get in touch, and we will respond. We don't get many things fed to us from clients. Well, I do get things from clients, but it's usually because I'm listening and I pick up. And then I say to them, I'm going to talk about that on a video. Are you okay with that? I'm not going to name you, I'm not going to break confidentiality. And they always say yes. But it would be nice sometimes if you came to us and said, hey, I'm interested in this topic. Talk about it. And your wish will be our command.
Yeah.
Thank you,
It's
everybody.
yeah, yeah, the questions help us to give more precise answers, and
Absolutely.
it's a dialogue. Actually, therapy is a dialogue.
Yeah.
All of this, the therapy, coaching, and counseling, these are dialogues, and that makes them unique.
Yeah.
And if you ask questions and we answer them, it will be a dialogue, and it will bring more to the surface.
Yeah. Take care,
All right.
everybody. See you
See you
later.
later.